Is Daybreak on Trust Television, and it is Trust Interactive. It's that segment where we get to hear from you, your input, as regards the conversation of the day. This morning, we'll be looking at the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, which on Monday released the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination results. The results showed that 1.9 million candidates registered and sat for the examination, which began on Friday, the 19th of April. Out of the 1.8 million results that were released, a paltry 0.4% scored above 300, while 24% scored 50%, which is 200 out of the 400 mark. Basically, if you put that together, it shows that just about 25%, if you do your aggregation, about 450,000 out of the potential 1.9 million candidates scored 200, which is often the cutoff marks for admission into the university. This morning, our phone lines will be open. We need to understand why these children's performance have become very abysmal. And by the record, this is one of the worst results in the history of the examination body. Our phone lines are open. The numbers will be displayed on the screen. There are two of them. I would like you to call in. Let us help us to understand. Help our viewers at home understand what has happened with this examination, where the problem lies. Does it have to do with people completely unprepared, for these examinations, or have they become heavily distracted, by the presence of social media and access to phones and all of that? We need to understand where this problem exactly lies and what we can begin to do as a society, as a family unit, which is the most important fragment of the society, to begin to tame, what is becoming a shameful showing by pupils, when it comes to standardized national examination, and of course, which has or portends great danger for these kids as they move further with their studies, given the kind of distractions that seem to be impacting on their performance when it comes to examinations. We would, like I said, have our numbers displayed on the screen. Those of you who already have them, you can call in and let us get your views on these shameful developments, the poor performance of our wards at the 2024 UMTE, that's the Unified Matriculation exams that was just concluded and result released just this Monday by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. Parents, have blamed it on several things. We have seen some of them talked about how these kids have been excessively exposed, to the social media by parents who, in the show of love, have provided all kinds of convenience, from iPads, to subscriptions without hindrance for these kids, most of whom probably are now done with their secondary schools and are now sit at home for the better part of the day, surrounded by the influence of these heavy gadgets, where they spend the better part of their time, being distracted by these things rather than concentrate on their study. I understand we have our first caller on the show this morning. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning, sir. My name is Pascal from Sokoto.
Good morning, Mr. Pascal from Sokoto. Can we please have your views?
Yes, the issue about the poor outing in Jambe has released have lots of factors. Both social media, both government policies, both societal, in the sense that various candidates or students are not well taken care of, even from the parents. The issue of support, they are not getting it as ought to be. And if they can give us further information about the grading of this, you'll be surprised. It's going to be the most younger ones that will perform better than those from 20 above. If they can further
distill the figures,
the grade, yes, you will see that those that are yet to be corrupted in mind will be the best.
So, Mr. Pascal, you also talked about government policy. Yes, so I'd like to understand how that...
Policy, this is how it affected. What if it takes some of the average teachers that will have a stable mind to impact quality knowledge on the children? Understand, their welfare is something else. If you go to most public schools, you see people studying under unhealthy environment. Teachers are not well taken care of, well paid. If you go to some places like Kogi, I know teachers are not taking up to secondary school teachers are not taking up to 30,000 as a minimum wage. What do you expect from such environment as outcome of whatever anybody is giving to the student there? So there's need to look at our curriculum, look at our support system to our educational institutions. That's my take.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pascal, and I can't agree any less with some of the submissions that you have made this morning. You have blamed it on three tripods. You talked about government policy, which you clearly explained here, with regards to welfare of teachers, quality of study environments, and I mean, nobody can fault you on those points if you have traveled around this country and seen the shambolic states of public schools. You also talked about the absence of support systems. You talked about the family, and this is really very critical, because it does appear that the student is left to himself, to figure it out as far as their development is concerned, and that is something households would need to begin to rethink, begin to reevaluate. The fact that you can afford to put them in schools and afford school buses that take them in and out of your house does not completely excuse your parenting obligation. And I think that's the point that Pascal was making. We have our next caller. Good morning, your name and where you're calling from. Kindly turn down the volume of your TV set so that we can have a conversation, please. All right, I'm afraid you would have to put down the volume of your TV set to enable us have a conversation. That's the rule. You can't obviously be listening to yourself while you're talking, please. So when you put in those calls and the lines are open to you, kindly put down the volume of your TV set to enable us have an unhindered and uninterrupted conversation. We have another caller. Your name and where you're calling from. Good morning. Oh my, the network challenge is also there again. We have another caller. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning. I'm calling from Niger State.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Can we have your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Abubakar Adamu. I'm calling from Niger State.
Abubakar Adamu from Niger. Good morning, Abubakar. And I hope how is Niger this morning?
Niger is fine.
I hope you shared in the rains yesterday.
The challenges of falling.
Oh my. Yes, the falling challenge is
very scarcity.
Yes, it's a nationwide challenge, I bet, and we all understand your plight this morning. Can we have your thoughts on the subject of discussion?
The subject of discussion, the issue on the lack of sensitization. The body organizing the exam is supposed to have some task to do some certain before the examination. Hello?
Yes, can you please take those thoughts again, please? We had some interruptions in your voice.
I think what I'm saying is the body, the jam body as a body,
Yes.
supposed to have an institution that in like hall in some part of the editorial district, so that the student will come there for testimony, there for the exam, for the testimony before the exam.
More like a mock exams.
For training. For training, yes. There's how to get training before the examination date.
Okay. And you think
Yes.
if there was a mock exam that reviews this level of failure, what then is left for JAMB to do? Is it to stop the examinations or not go on with it, or to lower the bar? How exactly is that going to help the process? Mala Abubakar, can we hear you? I'm afraid we lost him there, but he was making a proposition of the need to have mock exams. We used to have them in the time past, but we will revisit those propositions again. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning, Agasande. I'm calling from Niger State. My name is Afolabi.
Another Niger caller. Afolabi, good morning, and thanks for joining us this morning. Can we have your thoughts?
My thoughts on this issue is that if JAM can show us the students that perform well, from which of the school did they come out, public school or private schools? If JAM are basing the exam on computers, all the public school we have check from secondary from the government-owned school, you cannot find single computers where these people will practice and how to manage the times they were given. Someone that has now been on a computer for 30 minutes or for even 1 hour will be given 45 minutes to answer questions. Before he do this, before he do that, how do you expect him to pass? They have not been introduced to this system before. The total people that have passed, let JAM release the school from where they come from. It's private schools, not government schools. So government are not making it easy for them to study. Now, let's even leave that aside. If you go to the public schools, the environment at which people learn people go and learn is not conducive at all. You see a child sit on the floor, SS class, on the floor. You will see a class with 150 students. How will a teacher cope with that kind of students? Before you get their attention, before you tell them what to do, before you now impact that knowledge on them, how will they survive that kind of environment? I'm calling from where I reside here. No government school in here now, you will see not less than 100 in a class. I'm talking of SS class, not even junior classes. This was I do more than that. You will see a school, they have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and there are more than 100 in a class. For a single teacher to go around and say, hello, good morning. Some people will be on one side doing their business. So the government and the JAM are not making it easy. A school that doesn't have computers, and you are asking the students to come and do exam on a computer-based exam and a computer-based exam. You have never. Some people never hold mouse. So to me, they are just trying to make education more harder for people. That is my take on this.
Thank you very much, Afolabi, and I completely agree with you. And even the analogies you made. I am a Niger State born and bred and nurtured person, so I understand that topography like the back of my palms, and I know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to the quality of public education. And as a journalist who is widely traveled around this country, I can also vouch that the situation is not just about Niger State. It's practically the reality across public schools in the length and breadth of this country. So the question is JAMB a deployment of CBT far ahead of the learning reality of our students, the bulk of whom are in the public schools? Should we now have a mix approach to these examinations such that you could have computer readable answer scripts that would then allow the student, rather than click, simply shade these questions, and then they are passed on to computer readable machines, which will then give us a sense of what the true evaluations would be. Are we putting this problem in the wrong place? Are we not doing a proper analysis, of the situation that would have led to this very abysmal showing by students? Like Afolabi had rightly pointed out, there probably is the need to review the readiness, of our students with regards to computer-based testing, rather than the readiness with regards to the computer appreciation, to enable them, take these exams using the computer-based testing. It does appear that from Afolabi's evaluation that we may have seen a massive failure on account of pupils unable to use this technology rather than a deployment of their tests. You would see what the infographs are showing us on the screen while we take our next caller. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. This is Dr. Odekina Friday from Kogi State University.
Can I get your name again, doctor, please?
Dr. Odekina Friday Odekina.
Oh, that's right. Good morning, Dr. Odekina.
From Kogi State University.
Thank you very much, and it's good that somebody is calling us from the Ivory Tower to help us understand this problem this morning.
Yeah, the poor performance of students in the 2024 UTME results is not far-fetched from what is happening in the society and school. The infrastructure for learning is not on ground on many secondary schools. Like one of the callers spoke, teachers are poorly remunerated. What are the qualities of teachers we have in our primary schools and secondary schools? It will surprise you that so many teachers in the primaries and secondary schools cannot define effectively their own subject, to define what their subject area of specialty is about. They find it very difficult to find. And then again, you look at the economy of Nigeria. The economy is in shambles. You don't expect a child to study effectively on empty stomach, and this translates to their poor performances. The quality of people churned out into the universities today is highly appalling, very poor. It is at the ebb. In the university today, you will see students, you don't even know where to start from as a lecturer. Because you will see that the students are not highly the basics, they don't even know it. So if we must cure this malign, if we must cure this problem, we start from the root. What is the quality of the teachers we have in secondary school? What is the quality of teachers we have in the primary schools? And since these people are poorly remunerated, it is only the chaff that goes to these schools. And then we begin to blame the students. No, we cannot blame them. And do you know what they take to now? Rather than study, they practice what they call Yahoo Yahoo. Their minds are tuned to Yahoo Yahoo. They don't have time for their studies again because they don't. The parents cannot provide for them to feed effectively, and parents now encourage us awards to go into Yahoo Yahoo. And once they get into this Yahoo Yahoo, studies become secondary. That is the problem we have. The economy has to be corrected. The structure for learning has to be provided, and then we need to get the best of brains to primary and secondary school. That's my take on this.
All right, doctor. Doctor, before I let you go,
yes.
Can you hear me, doctor?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very fantastic submissions there. My follow-up questions to some of the submissions you have made is from the way our government have behaved, from the federal, state, and local government level. Do you get the sense that we seem to understand this holistic challenge to educational development, with all of this drawback in stunted growth, malnutrition, inadequate income in the household. Do you get a sense that the government understands this holistic challenge and we are doing anything at all, to tackle this problem from the root?
Obviously, the government is aware, but the government pretends not to be aware. We need a pragmatic government that will fashion out proper solution to this. The government is highly aware. Don't be confused. Don't think that the government is not aware. They are aware of the problem. But the enormity, we have not had somebody that will be bold enough to take the right steps to solve the problem of Nigeria. That is why we are suffering this way.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dikena there from Kogi State.
God bless you.
God bless you too. Amazing submissions there. Fantastic submission from the Ivory Tower. These are people who then take this subject from secondary school and preparing them as professionals for the future of work in this country, and they are telling you that what they are getting today in the university is the worst that they had ever been. But fair enough, doctor tells us it is more of a structural problem than it is a JAMB examination problem. We have another caller. Good morning, your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm Mohamed Rabiu from Kefi, Nasarawa State.
Good morning, Mohamed Rabiu from Kefi.
Yes. My text,
yes.
It is good for the government to readdress the issue of this UTME exam. Most especially on the issue of center. Some of the center, they don't have even facility. They have been registered and they have been conniving with the JAM, and especially in Uche, almost 3 years. There is no any.
Oh my, Rabiu, I really would have loved to have gotten the complete thought, with regards to how even the centers, it does appear, are not exactly as standardized, as some of us would expect. And these are the submissions of Rabiu. Somehow, it does appear, they find there are ways to being accredited, for perhaps the pecuniary benefits that are attached thereon. They become centers that eventually would aid the inability of students who are already struggling with these technologies to deploy them rather than enhance their capacity to participate in these exams. We have some of the data from those exams dating back to 2016 on your screen, which shows the percentage of students that sit for this exam vis-a-vis those that score over 200 and above, which is often, as I mentioned earlier in my introductory remark, the cutoff point to be considered by most schools for admission. The scores could get higher depending on the course of choice. And then, I mean, if you look at the overall analysis from this pie chart, you can see the size of the pie that is completely that completely failed to meet what is the minimum standard, if you like. 76%, which amounts to about 1.402 million candidates, basically made nothing useful of this last examination, and only about 24% of them scored, which is about 439, scored about 200 and above, and the 300 benchmark has that small size of the pie, which is tagged in blue, which is basically 0.4 or 0.5%, as the gradings would have revealed. So quite a number of issues have been raised in this conversation. Clearly, it does suggest that the issues beyond just one single examination, which was the last one. There are issues of capacity, by the secondary schools the lack of infrastructure and all of that. We would take one more call. Good morning, your name and where you're calling from. Oh my, we lost him to the network challenges, but we would like to hear from you. All right, we have another caller. Your name and where you're calling from. Good morning. Good morning. All right, we would, I'm sure you would try to call back again. We will still have room to take one or two very quickly before we move on to the segment of the program. Good morning.
Hello? Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Hello, good morning.
How are you, sir?
All right, the technical challenges there. Good morning.
What is it?
Good morning. All right. That's a bit of challenge. I understand that caller on the other side is finding it difficult to pick our voice. Some of the realities that we live in, these are the kind of technical challenges that we are talking about this morning that may have also contributed in part, to the outing that we saw the last JAMB result. But suffice it to say, as Dr. Dekina said from Kogi State, that this isn't just about the exams, but far more about the structure, that is responsible for bringing up these kids. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Good morning. All right, let us have your thoughts, please, if you can hear me.
Good morning. Which on this morning? The review for the performance of poor performance of
I'm afraid.
I
mean, we would have to move on from here. It does appear that the challenges are becoming a bit hectic as the show progresses. But if you try one of our numbers and you find it difficult to get through, please do well to try the second number. The options provided is to enable us, alternate. Perhaps we could be lucky with one or two trunks that would be clear and free for us to have a useful and productive conversation this morning. So quite a number of us have pointed to things that are very critical. The level of the infrastructures in public secondary school, and I dare to say they constitute the bulk of the platforms that are offering students for these examinations. How ready are they? How prepared? What's the quality of infrastructure that prepares you for a computer-based exams? Dr. Dekena and the caller from Nasarawa State, I think it was from Sokoto State, that talked about the welfare of teachers, the welfare of the home, the quality of parenting, that should give birth to the kind of sound minds, that would then go on to become the complete kind of persons that we all hope for. People who are responsible, or who would be responsible for where this country heads in another 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And that should worry all of us. That should bother every sane mind in this country, because if we miss it at this point, as it does appear with some of these signals that we are getting with standardized examination, then we will have a long way to go. We cannot be talking about encouraging people into STEMs, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and using a computer by the end of their secondary school year becomes a challenge, whatever that is, whether at the public or private school. And the irony, as we know, is that there should be more funding into public schools than there are in private schools, because those are driven by individual individual pockets. I don't understand why individual pockets can be so big, can be so deep, you know, than the government pockets. What we see in saner climes, if there are any such words, is that the private schools are even shutting down because of the competition that is offered by the public schools, because of the advantages that are offered by the public, because of the pricey nature of private schools. But in this case, it does appear we have lost completely the elementary schools to private practice. We are losing the secondary schools, and who knows, tomorrow we'll wake up and there will be no fitting public universities in Nigeria, God forbid. And that's the much that we would have time, you know, to look at this morning. And thank you very much for all of the calls that have come in and the very invaluable ideas that you have shared with us on Daybreak Interactive this morning.